wireless.
Good. Back in BC.
Hi, Joshy.
How you doing, brother?
Good.
Natter. What mess.
How are you doing?
Hi.
How's the energy?
Mike, you hold this is your mic, and you'll get
That's what we want. For
Okay.
those who don't know me, I'm Rachna Singh, MLA for Surrey Green Timbers. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, especially the Kwantlen, Katsi, Semiahmoo, and Swasan First Nations. And I can't thank all of you for coming today, coming for this great rally in our great community of Surrey, and that also especially on a Thanksgiving long weekend. So thank you to all of you. And I'm just so amazed by the incredible turnout that we have here. Wherever I see the supporters, I see the NDP, I see the momentum, and I'm so happy to see all of that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And now I'm so glad that I'm joined here by the amazing NDP candidates, and I would like to introduce all of them. We have here with us Harjeet Singh Gill for Surrey Newton. Sarjeet Sarah for Surrey Centre. Stephen Crozier for Surrey White Rock. Annie Ohana for Fleetwood Port Kells. Madeline Sobe for Abbotsford. John Moak for Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge. Stacey Wakelin for Langley, Aldergrove. And Ray Banwari for Cloverdale, Langley City. And I would also like to acknowledge a few of my colleagues. We have Harry Banks, MLA for Surrey Newton. Gary Bag, MLA for Surrey Guildford. Jagrup Brar, MLA for Surrey Fleetwood. Bruce Ralston, MLA for Surrey Wally. And also Raj Chauhan, who has come all the way from Burnaby Edmonds. And also, we have Peter Julian, MP for New West Burnaby. Oh, my dear friend, Randy Anderson Fennell for Delta North. For Delta, not Delta North. And I know we are all here for the same reason, because we want the orange crush here in Surrey. And we are ready for universal pharma care and dental care. We are ready for the bold action on climate change. We want the MPs of Surrey to take Surrey seriously. And we are ready for a Prime Minister like Jagmeet Singh. I just can't tell you that how proud I feel about my brother Jagmeet Singh. And I know you all are feeling the same. I know the momentum is building. What do you think? And I know we are not alone in this. We feel it all over Canada, and we can do it. And I have one last honor today, and that is introducing two great people who are also proud and excited to be here. And they are environmental activists, they are human rights activists, and they are political power couple. And it is my honor to introduce Grand Chief Stuart Phillip, and your NDP candidate for Central Okanagan, Smilkanin, Nicola John Phillip.
Why? Why Chassel Halslach? Isquist Aimshin. I've just said greetings, friends and relatives. My traditional name is Aimshin. I grew up in North Vancouver, just across the water. And I am absolutely so proud to be part of a team with Jagmeet Singh. Not only is he intelligent and good looking, he's also cares about all of us. We've had 152 years of Liberals and Conservatives, and I think we've had enough. They have enriched the 1%, and those of us on the bottom have gotten poorer. And I think that's enough of that too. On the one hand, we have a climate change, and on the other hand, they approve a pipeline with our money. The Harper years were the worst years in terms of our Canadian economy, and we've had enough of that too. Jagmeet not only cares about the environment, he cares about youth, he cares about children, he cares about our elders, he cares about small business. He wants to lift all of us up. So again, I'm just so proud to be part of a team that's on the way up. So I'm riding this big orange wave, and I'm just so happy. I know I'm in a really conservative area, And the two things that people have trouble with is loss and change, but we need change. We need to vote for all of us. Lift everyone up.
Why? Is this on? Oh. Why? Pisnaxil, Esquis Asiut. My traditional name is Asiut, and I want to begin by saying how deeply honored I am to be here, to be witness and to bear witness to this perfect moment in Canadian history. Joan and I drove down from Penticton last night, got here very late, and soon as this event is over, we're going to be going back. But we felt it was incredibly important to be here to give public expression to our support, our heartfelt support for Jagmeet Singh and everything that he represents, his values, his integrity, the sense of quiet dignity that he carries forward, his leadership responsibilities. Joan and I have 15 grandchildren. And we know in our heart of hearts that this election is about our grandchildren and those yet to come. And so we take our choice very, very seriously because we know whoever we choose as the leader and the government of this country is going to determine the future of our grandchildren. And both Joan and I are so incredibly inspired. And that's a fundamental responsibility of leadership, is to inspire. We are so inspired with Jagmeet Singh and the way he carries himself. In our view, he's absolutely authentic, he's real, he's genuine, and he cares for the people of this country. And we know Canadians are crying out for that caliber of leadership. We have suffered through the Harper years. We've suffered through the phoniness of Justin Trudeau. And now, given the climate crisis, given all of the economic issues, given the human rights issues, homelessness, and all of those social issues, we need somebody that is authentic, somebody that's real, somebody that cares. And that person is Jagmeet Singh. My dear sisters and brothers, I can tell you in my 40-odd years of being involved in these issues, very, very seldom have I ever been excited. And Joan and I were excited when Jack Layton was here and leading the Orange Wave. But once again, that excitement is rising within us. It's rising and reverberating across this great country. And everyone, absolutely everyone, is talking about this man, Jagmeet Singh. So all of us need to do our utmost to support this man and everything he represents. It's our sacred duty for the well-being of our children, our grandchildren, and those yet to come to support the NDP. And That's why we drove through the night to be here to express our unconditional support for Jagmeet Singh, and with that, all of my relations.
So, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Jagmeet
Thank you so much. Thank you. 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 Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Woo! Thank you. That was amazing. First of all, can you give me a round of applause for the incredible introduction by Grand Chief Stuart Phillips. And also a lot of love for Joan Phillips. Friends, first of all, make sure everything's okay. No one should be hurt. Everything should be okay. Let's just keep it cool. Everything's okay. Let's keep it cool. Listen, it's just, we'll do that. We'll talk, but it's just not a good idea for what you're doing right now. Just keep it cool. Just keep it cool, brother. Just keep it cool. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Friends, that's okay. Things are gonna happen sometimes. People are passionate. It's okay. We got love for everybody. It's okay. It's okay. We got love. No worries. It's okay. So friends, we're gonna talk about climate crisis because it's incredibly important to me, something I care about very personally, very passionately. We'll talk about that. Friends, I want to just first of all thank you for being here. Thank you. It's pretty amazing to have so many people here. Merci infiniment d'être ici. Merci infiniment. C'est vraiment un grand honneur d'avoir beaucoup de monde ici. And I think we're just getting that situation sorted out. Okay. Don't worry, it's okay, folks. Don't worry. We'll be all right. These things happen in life. Don't worry. It's okay. Don't worry. So what I want to talk about is we heard some words around acknowledging the territories that we're gathered around. For New Democrats, we of course acknowledge the territories, but we want to go a bit further. For us, it's not enough to just acknowledge the territories. We also want to acknowledge the injustices that communities have faced, the historic injustices that Indigenous communities have faced, and the ongoing injustice that they currently face. And that when we acknowledge the territories, we also want to acknowledge our collective responsibility to make sure that we remedy that injustice once and for all. And one of the concrete ways we can do that, there's many ways, but a new democratic government would implement into law the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Friends, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in this election. The people that I get to meet. People who are worried about the future. Young people who are worried about our planet and worried about the environment. They're worried about their future. I want to talk about families that can't find housing. They're struggling right now. Young people are struggling with the fact that they're never going to be able to own a home with the way things are going. The fact that they can't even find a place to rent. There's families that are struggling with the cost of medication. Millions of our brothers and sisters, millions of Canadians cannot afford the medication they need. And when faced with all these worries, people are struggling under the weight of high bills, of the rising cost of living. Things are tough for a lot of people. And those people cannot wait 4 years. They can't wait indefinitely for real action to make their lives better. They need bold action now. We need to act now. And so for me, when I look at this question about bold action now, what does a government do? A government should act in the benefit of people. So I think about, how a government works and how does it deliver the services, but it's also a question of who the government works for. And I ask you to wonder, over the past years, who has the government been working for? Has it been you? Has it been people? And I want to give you an example. Mr. Trudeau, over the past 4 years, he hasn't been working for people. He's been working for those at the very top. He's been working for the wealthy. And I want to challenge that. When it comes to families that are struggling with the cost of medication, Mr. Trudeau worked for the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies. He didn't bring down the cost of medication. He protected the profits of the pharmaceutical and lobbyists and the insurance lobbyists instead of the people who can't afford medication. When it came to cell phone bills, we're paying the highest cell phone bills in the world. But instead of working for families, Mr. Trudeau his government met with the telecom agencies, their lobbyists, and continues to work for them, keeping the bills high, the highest in the world. When it comes to fighting climate crisis, instead of ending fossil fuel subsidies and looking young people in the eye and saying, I'm going to fight to make sure young people have a bright future, Mr. Trudeau and his government continue to meet with the oil and gas lobbyists and work for them to continue to subsidize oil and gas, to exempt the biggest polluters. They're working for the powerful. Again and again, we see that Mr. Trudeau is not in it for you. He's not working for you. He's working for the powerful and the rich. And then Mr. Scheer. Mr. Scheer talks about... Well, Mr. Scheer talks about tax cuts. But what he's going to do, he's going to cut your services. He's going to cut all the services that you need. Your family needs to go to the hospital. He's going to cut funding for hospitals. He's going to cut funding for healthcare. He's going to make your life cost a lot more. So the Conservatives promise a couple extra dollars, but then they cut all the things that you need, all the services that you need, all the services in healthcare that your family needs. They end up cutting it, and it costs you a lot more. Now, Ms. May, she's going to present an option, but the reality is she's been open to propping up a Conservative government. That's not going to make life better for people. Now, these are what the people are going to say out there. And I want to say to this, you don't have to choose these options. You're not stuck choosing between the Liberals and the Conservatives, because they're going to tell you this. They're going to say in this election, you've only got two choices, right? Liberals are going to say you can only choose between us and the Conservatives. The Conservatives are going to say the same thing. It's between us and the Liberals. They take you for granted. They're taking your vote for granted. Absolutely, we do. They believe that they own your vote. Do they own your vote? No! You own your vote. You can choose what you want. You can choose a hopeful future. You can choose someone who's going to fight for you. You can choose someone who's in it for you. You can choose. You can choose me as your future Prime Minister, the first New Democrat Prime Minister. So I want you to know you've got a choice. But in this election, it's clear that Canadians are going to make a choice. And I'm running to become your Prime Minister because I want to make a brighter future possible. But whatever happens, whatever the choice is, I want to make sure that Canadians win. I want you to win. And so here are 6 priorities that we're going to work on. We want to make sure that families that are struggling with the cost of housing know that with New Democrats, we are going to make housing more affordable. We're going to make sure you can find a home. We are going to invest in healthcare, and that means that everyone in our country will get access to the medication they need. In our plan, it means that if you need medication, you should use your health card, not your credit card. Our healthcare investment also means we want to make sure people get national dental care. Our plan was going to cover over 4 million Canadians with national dental coverage. That means that they'll have $1,240 of savings for an average family. That means families that can't afford dental care will get the dental care they need. You know, we've seen that our cell phone bills are really high. How many people feel like their cell phone bills are so high? They're so high. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take on the cell phone companies, and we're going to put in place a price cap so they can't charge us higher than the average OECD country. We're going to put a price cap in place to save you money and take on those cell phone and internet companies. We're going to make sure, you know, young people who are feeling the burden of student debt, those young people, I feel you. It's tough. It's real, yeah. Like the students here are saying, that's us. I'm sorry. But, you know, on the backs of your student debt, Mr. Trudeau has charged $3 billion in profit. He's made $3 billion in profit off your back. He forgave $6 billion in corporate loans, but continues to charge interest on students who are in debt. Well, what we're going to do is make sure there is no more interest charged on any federal loan for students right away. And my friends, what we're going to do is this. When it comes to young people who are worried about the future, who are worried about our planet, who are, instead of hopeful about the future, are afraid and filled with despair, I want to tell those young people, with New Democrats, we are going to fight for real action on the climate crisis. We're going to end all subsidies to fossil fuel sectors. We're going to make sure the biggest polluters pay their fair share. We're going to invest in renewable energy. We're going to build a brighter future. And to pay for this, to pay for our plans, we're going to make sure that those at the very top, the richest Canadians, those who have fortunes of over $20 million, pay a little bit more. Donc, ce n'est pas seulement une question de comment le gouvernement fonctionne. C'est une question de pour qui le gouvernement fonctionne. Et on a vu avec les libéraux, ils ont travaillé très fort pour les plus riches, mais pas pour vous, pas pour le monde, pas pour les gens. Donc, ce qu'on propose sont des priorités parce qu'on veut s'assurer que les Canadiens et Canadiennes gagnent dans cette élection. Donc, nos priorités, c'est d'investir dans les soins de santé, d'investir dans le logement abordable, d'aider des étudiants qui sont dans la dette étudiante, de faire face aux grandes compagnies de télécommunications, de s'assurer qu'on prend des mesures concrètes pour faire face à la crise climatique. On peut faire ça ensemble. So my friends, in this election, the question is, who's in it for you? Who's going to fight for you? Who's going to stand up for you? We know that Mr. Trudeau, we know. Thank you. We know that Mr. Trudeau has chosen to work for the powerful and the rich. Again and again, he's chosen the richest Canadians. He's chosen the powerful lobbyists. He's chosen those at the top over you. The difference is, I don't work for the people at the very top. I don't work for the richest Canadians. I don't work for the powerful lobbyists. I work for all of you. So while Mr. Trudeau chooses the richest Canadians, while Mr. Trudeau chooses the people at the very top, I choose you. We New Democrats. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, my friends. We choose people. We're going to fight for you. So get out and vote. We need to make sure you get out and vote. There's people here today that'll help you get to the voting stations. Make sure you speak to your friends. Make sure you tell people they don't have to choose between bad and worse. They don't have to settle for less. You can choose a future that's better for people. You can choose someone who's going to fight for you. My friends, let's get out and vote. Let's get out and win this election. Let's make this happen. Thank you, my friends. Merci beaucoup. Merci, mes amis. Thank you. Now I'm going to ask all my candidates to come on stage. Get on stage, all my candidates. I'm going to ask Joan to get on. I'm going to ask Grand Chief to get on stage. Grand Chief, come back on stage. These are our candidates right here. Come all right. Oh, we got Steve Crozier just jumping up the stage. Get on stage, everybody. Fill in, fill in, fill in. These are our candidates. These are your fighters. This is a team that's going to fight for you. MVP, 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 MVP. Thank you. All right, so hang tight, everybody. We're going to take some questions now from the media. So the media that's been following us, they're going to ask some questions. All the media, just they know where they are. They're going to line up here for questions, so we'll begin.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Kevin Gallagher with CTV National News. You said that
Hi, Kevin.
if elected, hello, Mr. Singh. You said if elected that you would renegotiate the recently approved new NAFTA agreement. So I'd sort of like to know how. Like, have you already reached out to Democrats? What do you want to change? And is it not already too late to make substantial change for what you want to see in that agreement?
So what I've said is that right now the Democrats in the South or in the States are working to make sure that the language around protecting workers and the environment is actually enforceable. So what I've said is that we shouldn't rush to ratify a deal when we know that the agreement that was struck has language that talks about workers and the environment, but none of those protections are actually enforceable. So I've called on Mr. Trudeau not to rush to ratify something when the Democrats in the States are actually working to make sure those protections are in fact enforceable. That's what I would focus in on, making sure at a minimum that our Canadian workers, who are amongst the best in the world, can compete on a level playing field.
And I just want to address the gentleman that was in earlier that sort of was saying very upset about the LNG pipeline, saying that you support it. I have asked you this question before, and I actually didn't really understand where your support was with that project. So do you support the BC LNG pipeline?
So my position is this: for the future of our planet, for the future of kids who are worried about where our planet is headed, I believe the future is one where we are not burning any fossil fuel for energy. That is the future. And we know that's where we got to get. We've got to get to a future where we're not burning any fossil fuel energy. So to do that, what I'm proposing at the federal level is to immediately end all fossil fuel subsidies. That is a concrete step we can take to get us down the path of ending the use of fossil fuels and moving towards a renewable and clean energy future. Yes. With BC has a plan that includes all of their projects, the boldest, most ambitious climate action plan in North America. And I support their plan to reduce emissions. I don't support Mr. Trudeau, who doesn't have any plan to reduce emissions, and that's why I'm firmly opposed to Trans Mountain.
Bonjour, M. Singh, Christian Noël de Radio-Canada.
Bonjour.
Un peu plus tôt aujourd'hui, M. Trudeau a fait un lien entre les problèmes de sécurité et la campagne très négative, notamment du Parti conservateur, sur le ton de la campagne, les mensonges de la campagne, parfois même qui peut même aller jusqu'à certains appels à la violence. J'aimerais vous entendre parler du ton de la campagne. J'aimerais vous entendre parler de quel effet vous croyez que ça a sur le discours public.
D'accord. Oui, le ton de campagne, c'est une question, c'est toujours quelque chose qu'il faut évaluer. Je pense qu'il faut avoir des discussions, des désaccords, ça c'est quelque chose d'important. Mais la façon de le faire, il ne faut pas augmenter la haine. On a des gens qui ne sont pas d'accord et ça c'est correct. Et ce que je veux faire, c'est de proposer des options. Il ne faut pas choisir entre les conservateurs et les libéraux. On a un autre choix. On peut choisir les néo-démocrates. Et la façon de le faire, c'est de montrer les options, avec du cœur et courage, de montrer des options avec des espoirs. Et ça, c'est comment je fais mon travail.
Avez-vous l'impression que le ton du discours public est en chute libre et quel effet ça a sur la population?
Je pense qu'on a vu un ton des conservateurs qui était plus peut-être négatif. Et je pense qu'il faut toujours rappeler qu'on peut avoir des différences d'opinion, une diversité d'opinions, ça c'est correct. Il faut toujours avoir un sens de sécurité, qu'on peut exprimer les opinions différentes et il n'y a pas aucune menace de peur, une menace de danger. Et ça, c'est tellement important. Il faut avoir des discussions, il faut avoir une exprimation des opinions différentes, mais il faut toujours garder un espace sécuritaire où on peut avoir la sécurité d'exprimer ses opinions sans avoir des menaces.
And Mr. Singh, if I may have that in English. Oh, sorry. If I may have that in English as well, please.
Comment?
En anglais aussi, s'il vous plaît.
Okay, yeah.
Oui.
So the question is around the tone of the election, and sure, there's been some attacks and there's been some concern around the tone of this election. I want to encourage everyone that we might have different opinions. There might be disagreements, and those are okay. We can express those disagreements. But it's important to make sure people can have a different opinion, but they shouldn't feel fear. They shouldn't feel threatened because of their different opinions. So I'm going to stand firmly against some opinions. But I want you to also ensure that we're not attacking anyone for different opinions, that we're raising our point of view and our way of doing things, but we're not making sure people don't feel like they're intimidated or afraid.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Hannah Thibodeau with CBC National News. I just want to know why anti-pipeline voters should support you when you won't commit to stopping the Trans Mountain as a condition of supporting a potential Liberal minority government.
Oh, I've made it really clear. I'm firmly opposed to the pipeline. I've been opposed to it. I will continue to fight against it. And it's absolutely one of my priorities. And I won't negotiate a future government right now. But I will tell people what my priorities are, and absolutely my priority is to fight that pipeline.
Hi, Mr. Singh.
Hi there.
Janice Dixon, the Globe and Mail. We're in a Liberal riding right now, so I'm just curious, are you feeling optimistic about winning this riding, and why?
Yes, I am feeling optimistic. Yes, I'm absolutely optimistic. We've got an incredible team here in Surrey. We've got a great team across the Lower Mainland. We've got a great team across BC. I'm feeling really optimistic. But I'm feeling optimistic because Canadians have really looked at the past 4 years, and they really haven't felt like their life has improved. They haven't seen action on the climate crisis. They haven't seen action on healthcare investments. They haven't seen the things that they need in their life to make their life better. And again, Mr. Trudeau is telling them to wait. And Mr. Scheer is not going to make those things better. He's not going to invest in healthcare. He's not going to tackle the housing problem. He's just going to give a little bit of dollars to everybody and mostly to the richest. And that's not going to make life better. And I'm proposing a real way to move forward that benefits people, puts people at the heart of what we do, and I'm seeing that that's working. People are excited by that.
Your next stop today is in Port Moody, Coquitlam. That's an NDP seat. So is this an exercise in, boosting momentum there, or are you worried about your chances in that riding?
Well, I want to build off the momentum that we have. We've been spending lots of our time in ridings where Liberals have let down Canadians. We were in Brampton, where all the seats in Brampton are Liberal right now, and people are feeling let down. We were in Toronto, in Davenport, which is a riding held by Liberals. Again, they feel let down. They feel like they haven't seen their life improve, and they've seen that Mr. Trudeau has chosen the powerful over them again and again. And here in BC, in the Lower Mainland, in Surrey, again, Liberal MPs have let Canadians down, have let people down. And so that's our focus. We want folks to know you do not have to settle. You do not have to settle. You have a choice. You can choose someone who fights for you, who's in it for you, and that's us, New Democrats.
Hi. I would like to know how you would feel after Election Day if Andrew Scheer is Prime Minister.
I would respect people's choice, but for me, I feel like there's this false choice that's being presented. That if you only have to choose in an election between bad and worse, that's not really much of a choice. If you have to choose, right? Like if you're choosing because we're afraid of Mr. Scheer, but Mr. Trudeau hasn't done the things that we need. And in fact, we're in this position right now where we're afraid of Conservatives because Mr. Trudeau broke his commitment to bring in electoral reform. We're just going to be in this cycle. Like, it's just going to be this revolving cycle. Every election, then Mr. Trudeau's going to always say, or any Liberal leader's always going to say, be afraid of the Conservatives. When do we break that cycle? When do we break that cycle? Let's break that cycle now.
Okay, so again, the day after the election, if Mr. Scheer wins more seats than Mr. Trudeau, will you go and ask Mr. Trudeau to cobble up a coalition with you or whoever else might be a partner, the Greens, the Bloc? Like, if the Conservatives win more seats, will you still try to form a coalition government with the Liberals?
Oh, absolutely, because we're not going to support a Conservative government. We're going to fight a Conservative government. We're going to fight it all the way. So we're ready to do whatever it takes. I don't know what's going to happen, so that's a hypothetical situation, but I can answer it in a direct way. In any scenario that happens, whatever Canadians choose, I'm going to make sure Canadians get the best deal. I'm going to make sure we fight hard for the things that are our priorities. I'm going to make sure we deliver those things. And I've made it really clear I'm going to fight Conservatives because they cut and make services worse for people. And with more New Democrats, you're going to be assured that we change things. You're going to be assured that things don't have to stay the same way. You're going to be assured that we move forward in a brighter way. Français, oui, bien sûr. Donc, ce qui est clair, on a dit qu'on ne travaille pas avec les conservateurs. Donc, peu importe la décision des Canadiens et Canadiennes dans l'élection, je vais travailler sur les priorités que j'ai proposées et aussi, je vais s'assurer qu'on travaille, on lutte contre les conservateurs parce qu'ils vont couper les services. Si on veut des changements dans cette élection, votez pour les néo-démocrates. On va livrer des actions concrètes pour améliorer votre qualité de vie.
Hello, Mr. Singh. I'm over here. I'm over here by the cameras.
Oh yes, oui, la même chose. On est prêt de travailler avec n'importe qui pour s'assurer qu'on peut défaire un gouvernement conservateur parce qu'on est toujours contre les coupures et on est prêt de travailler avec n'importe qui. On est seulement dit qu'on ne travaille pas avec les conservateurs.
Hello, Mr. Singh. I'm over here by the cameras. Over here. Hello. Over here. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Teresa Wright from the Canadian Press. Just following up on that question,
Yes.
in the event of the Conservatives winning, you've said that you won't support a Conservative minority, but your party went into this campaign with a big debt and with little money. So. Would you really be prepared to trigger an election given that your party really couldn't afford to go back to the polls?
I can be really clear on this. We've said we would not work with the Conservatives. We would fight their cuts. What we want to do is deliver the priorities that we have put forward. We want to make sure that those happen. And no matter what Canadians choose, I want them to choose New Democrats. I want them to choose me as their Prime Minister so I can fight for them. But whatever they choose, they can count on us to fight for their desires, their priorities, and to make sure we stand up against anyone who wants to do the opposite.
Earlier today, when we were asking you about strategic voting, you said that you want to be Prime Minister.
Yes.
Given where your party is in the polls, how realistic do you think that is?
Well, I'm just fighting for people. And for me, it's not a matter of where we're at right now. It's a matter of the momentum we've been building. And more importantly, it's about what happens on the 21st of October. I believe people should dream big. I believe people should dream big. I believe people should not have to settle. And when you dream big, big things happen. And so I'm going to ask people, dream big. We can form government. We can make your lives better. We can put in amazing things. Yep.
Mr. Singh, CJ Sidhu with Sanja TV.
Sidhu
had
sir.
a chance to talk to you anyways. We talked about a lot of other issues, but we didn't talk about immigration.
Sure.
So what is your take on immigration, refugees, and especially in Syria now, Kurdish community is suffering. Is there any plans in your platform?
So I'm really proud of the fact that Canada has welcomed people around the world when they've been in struggles, when they've faced hardship. Many people here today in this room have come to Canada because they fled economic difficulty, financial troubles, persecution, and that's something that we're proud of. And Canada will always be a country that should welcome people, and we have a balance in our immigration system. We should welcome people as our economy allows and that we can do, and make sure that we balance that with the important security measures. That will always be our priority, and we'll always do our best to make sure we're great partners in the world and we take care of the people, not just around us here in Canada, but our neighbors around the world, our fellow human beings that are struggling around the world.
Last question.
Okay. Mr. Jagmeet Singh, this is Manpreet Randhawa, and I'm from Red FM.
Yes, Randhawa sir.
Now, since you know that Mr. Justin Trudeau's security has been beefed up, what do you have to say? Do you think the federal leaders, they are under threat? And because why I'm asking this question is, as you very well know, China and India, there are intelligence reports, they are taking a lot of interest in Canadian elections. You think the Canadians should be concerned?
So there is real concerns around the world about political interference. We've seen a lot of evidence of that in the States, and there's been recent reports by CSIS of concerns about that happening in Canada. So it's not something that's uncommon. It's something that we've now heard is becoming more and more common. I think we should always be vigilant to make sure that there's no interference in our political system. Canadians should make a choice about who they want to govern the country, and that should be free from any interference. That's very important. When it comes to my personal security, I'm not worried about myself. I've got a great team that supports me, RCMP officers that do a great job. I'm worried about other people that they don't have security like I do. In an election, I've got a lot of protection, but there's a lot of people in Canada that are faced with hate crimes. They're faced with danger because of who they are. And we've seen the impacts of that. We've seen hate crimes on the rise against Jewish communities, against Muslim communities. We've seen attacks on people in masjids in Quebec. We know that this is a serious fear that people have, and that's why I want to fight against hate. I want to build a country where we celebrate and love everyone, and that everyone belongs. Ek wari phir ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫੇਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਤਹਿ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦੀ ਹਾਂ. One more time, I'm so thankful that you're all been here. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਾਣ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੌਕਾ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਜੁੜਨ ਦਾ. ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮਾਣ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੰਨੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਇਕੱਠ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਣਾ ਭਵਿੱਖ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੁਝ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਲਈ. Every time I see people coming together like this, it gives me lots of hope, gets lots of inspiration. Seeing people come together, believing that we can do better for our country is beautiful. Thank you for being here today. Thanks so much.